Okay, we're continuing on. Producer or consumer. The other thing is, well, why? Why? Just because a greater number of people are affected by it, when you look through the eyes of the consumer than the producer, does that mean that we should make decisions based on the consumer's point of view rather than the producer's point of view? After all, the producer may be fewer in number, but once that producer earns a good living, doesn't that producer go out into the world, into the market, and provide a living for an equal number of other producers? Maybe so. But let's look at this. When the economy is geared towards consumers, look, everybody wins. We've already discussed how the consumers are a larger group than producers. But when economics is directed from the side of the producer, a smaller and smaller and smaller number of people benefit. And that's where you get this wide gap. It's not based on capitalism that you get this wide gap between the rich and the poor. It's based on restrictionism, protectionism. Because if we made everything in the United States run on for the protection, for the good of the, well, let's take it out broadly. If you made only everything beneficial to the producer, looked at things from that automatically would have a smaller group benefiting and a larger group to be to the detriment of them. Then, if you look at just the electronics, well, that's a smaller group of people. And if you were just to look at television makers, that's a smaller group of people that benefit. And so, it's a smaller and smaller group of people that benefit when you look at things from the standpoint of the producer. But when you look at things from the standpoint of the consumer, and you, quote unquote, pass over, or some people might say you give the shaft to the producers, the consumer wins. You want a society where consumers get what they want. And it's not the right of a producer to sit there and make anything that they want at any price that they want and force it upon the consumers. How is that ethical or moral? I want the protectionists to answer me that. How is that ethical or moral for a producer to sit there and produce anything that they want and at any price that they want and force consumers to buy it? When you look at economics through the eyes of the consumer, producers are forced to conform their offerings to what the general public is demanding. And I see that as a good thing. Everybody gets what they want. The consumer gets what they want. Now, if you address economics through the viewpoint of the producer and make decisions based upon the advantage of the producer, where will be the incentive for the producer to give the consumer what they want? They won't. They'll give bad products and services for high pricing because, like I said, the nature of the producer is antagonistic towards the consumer and towards other producers. If you want to be able to go out into the market and buy things that you want and be able to afford those things and have access to things that you didn't have access to before, just like running water, electricity, all these things were, restricted to the rich until demand and competition brought the prices down to where they were made available to the everyday man. If we would have said, oh, well, we don't want anybody losing their jobs, we don't want outside suppliers to be brought in to provide these services, you still have a few producers producing electricity at an incredibly high rate that would make electricity only available to the very wealthy. That's the way computers used to be. Used to, governments were the only people rich enough to buy computers. There was a demand for them. Everybody wanted one. The only governments and millionaires could buy them. They took up a whole room. Now, other suppliers of computers started coming in. They started forcing the existing computer makers to offer a better product, which first of all meant getting it smaller, making it perform more functions, and providing it for cheaper. That threw some people out of jobs, that threw some people out of some salaries. Companies went out of business altogether. Is that a bad thing? Would we like computers to go back to taking up a room, being only available to the U.S. Army, and have all those people have their original job making computers with those big old tubes? Would we want that back? No. Looking at economics through the eyes of the consumer makes things better for everybody. 100% of the world is united as a consumer. 100% of the world. Children, elderly, people that don't work, people that do work, everybody in between. 100% of the world is united as a consumer. The less and less people are benefited when you look at the world of economics through the eyes of producers. And I don't understand why protectionists think that they, or mainly the government, always they want the government to pick and choose the winners. When you go through the eyes of the consumer, 100% of the population benefits because everybody's a producer. Everybody is a consumer. Everybody is a consumer. But when you look at things to the benefit of the producer, it's fewer and fewer people benefiting from that transaction. And who is the government? Or who are these individuals to determine the winners and losers in the market? What happened to a man winning and losing on his own merit based upon what he's willing to provide his fellow man? Isn't that the only ethical and moral system set up where you have to serve your fellow man in order to reap a reward? And a lot of my friends here on YouTube would rather have the government or some central agency or somebody else determining who the winners and the losers should be. You know, I happen to think a system where the people are chosen winners and losers based on how well they give people what they want is a much more just and moral system. But the protectionist always uses one entity, usually the government, to pick. Not based on merit, not based on service, but based on political favors and based on certain arbitrary preferences. They always use that to create the winners and losers, rather than creating winners and losers based upon how well those people serve their fellow man. That's why individualism and free market capitalism is the only decent and humane way to allocate products and services.